Hi, I'm Kacey.
And I'm Gianni.
I never finished reading the Animorphs books as a kid, and I still haven't as an adult.
And I've never read them.
We can't tell you where we live.
But we can tell you that we want to revisit these books as adults and dive into what we would keep or change if we were to put it on TV.
Two friends, 50-something books. Welcome to Morphin Buddies.
And then the music kicks in, and then people are just so ready.
Hey everyone, welcome to our next episode of Morphin Buddies with me, your host, Kacey Cisnowski, and Mr. Gianni DeMaia.
Oh my god, I forgot we were doing this. What? I'm here? I didn't even...
You made it.
I'm so unprepared.
Oh, it's okay. I'll hold your hand. We'll take it together, step by step, you know.
How did this mic get in front of me?
Oh my god, and the headphones?
Oh,
so cute.
Yes. So cute.
So we're going to start out today. This happened literally like 40 minutes before we started recording just now. We got a fan mail. And
Stop.
The subject line says fan mail from Germany.
What?
I know.
Stop it. No way.
Dude, yes. So Christina sends us fan mail from Germany. What the fuck is up in Germany? What's up with you guys?
Dankeschön, Christina. That's how you
Yeah.
say thank you, right? I think.
Yeah.
My German's terrible.
I'm not good with German either, but I heard the country's beautiful and I would like to travel there at some point.
Yeah. Guten Tag, Christina.
Guten Tag, Christina. So Christina says, "Hey guys, I'm a fan from Germany and I've been having a blast so far with your podcast. Like Kacey, I read the Animorphs books as a child, but I never finished them since they stopped translating them to German after 30-something books. What the heck is up with that?"
Oh my god. Well, we should fight them.
All of Germany?
Responsible? Who's responsible?
We'll find them. Christina, you let us know who it is.
Yeah.
During the height of COVID, I made it my mission to collect all the missing books and actually finish reading the story. Let me just say, it was so worth it. I laughed, I cried, I didn't know what to do with myself after I turned the last page. Literal masterpiece. Your latest episode has been my favorite so far. I don't think the reaction ever stood out to me as particularly well-crafted or funny, but the way you recap the story made me laugh out loud multiple times. I also feel like you two have grown together as co-hosts over the last few episodes. Not that there was anything wrong in the beginning. To me, it just feels like you've become more comfortable and there's a lot of banter and funny moments, which is great. That's very nice, Christina.
That's so sweet.
When you revealed the Andalite Chronicles would be the next book you'd react to, I was like, oh shit, spoiler territory. There's a bit of a debate on when this book should be read, as it contains a pretty significant spoiler for a later book. A lot of people say that reading it at this point adds tension and dramatic irony to the story if you, as the reader, experience this secret with Elfangor way before the Animorphs find out about it. So when Kacey said that she used to read the books in that particular order, I thought, let's see how this turns out and what you think of this secret, Gianni. Anyway, this email is getting way too long, so I'm going to stop here. Keep up the good work, and please keep uploading regularly, or I might cry. Stay awesome, Christina.
Well, we won't make you cry.
Christina, you're going to make me cry, Stina.
Yeah, wow. We do this hell or high water, so...
Oh, it's so nice. Very sweet.
You don't have to worry. Oh my god, yeah, what a lovely grouping of words. Isn't it amazing what 26 letters can do, you know?
That's true. That's true. Just countless possibilities. Countless.
Yeah. You could really make two hosts very happy.
Yeah, thank you Christina, that's very sweet email. Thank you so much for writing us, and it seems like a lot of people have decided to start catching up with the series during COVID, because what else are you going to do, you know?
Yeah, they were like, I think it's very simpatico, we're very in sync with the folks out there, all the way in Germany too.
All the way in Germany. So thanks, Christina. I hope everything's going well. I think you're 6 hours ahead of us, so maybe you're curling up in your bed as we're recording this, so
Yeah.
We hope
6 hours ahead and like 2 or 3 weeks behind. Because we pre-record these and then but just know, Christina, when you get to this episode that we know where you're at in our timeline, and then you now hopefully know where we're at in yours. So.
It's the end of the afternoon. Well, I guess the middle of the afternoon for us, and you're probably all cozied up in your bed with your blanket tucked up to your chin, just dreaming German dreams, you know?
Yeah.
So,
German dreams. Do the Animorphs look different in Germany? I wonder.
You know what? That's a good question, because for the Harry Potter books, they had the different covers for like the Philosopher's Stone versus the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah. I wonder if you have less twisted and awful, hideous covers.
The morphing on the covers.
Yeah. Maybe it's like way more natural in Germany. You're like, yes, that's exactly how.
Yeah. Hey, if the covers are different in Germany, can you like send us pictures if you have some? Because that would be sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, a very long take of a very short. Thank you very much, Christina. We appreciate you and sending your email. That was very sweet. So getting into book 14 today, The Unknown, where the cover, Cassie is morphing into a horse. Mr. Gianni, how did you feel about The Unknown? Was it unknown?
It was, I guess. It was unknown. I'm shocked that, because like this title is like so easily interchangeable into probably like so many books. I'm shocked that they wasted it on a fecal matter facility. I mean, for all intents and purposes. I mean, I guess that's a little bit of spoilers for the book itself.
Also,
but I mean,
it was unknown for like half a second, and then it was known, and then the end.
There's a lot of silliness in this book. But I don't think it was nearly as successful as like a zany, wacky adventure as The Reaction. I'm glad that Christina found our reaction episode funny, because that is still my number one in the series, and I just there's just something so charming and disarming about the unabashed Bananaland behavior of The Reaction that I feel like this book maybe tries to intercept.
There's a moment.
It just never quite gets over that line. Not to say that this book isn't fun. I think there's a lot of fun moments. I think there's good set pieces, and I really like the new sort of biome. They even like directly sort of reference at one point our protagonist in this one, Cassie, is like looking over a ridge and imagining a bunch of like banditos like over the side, like with their in their Western fatigues, right? And I think that kind of element of these books maybe is now starting to get a bit more prominent, because I think that we've seen another biome when we did, what was it, The Forgotten, when we kind of went to the jungle, right? So I think that I'm seeing a pattern now where not only is this very procedural in the same way that a lot of the other books are, but we're now trying to capture different biomes to excite people as well. I am now 100% confident we will get an ice biome at some point. We'll go into a frozen tundra.
I want to go to Antarctica.
I've never been more sure than I am now after having read this book, because I feel like that's going to be the new thing for like the filler books, quote unquote, is we're going to try to capture like a new location.
Are they going to discover Santa Claus is real, do you think?
God, I hope so.
And they're going to be like, oh, we have to keep the secret.
God, I hope so. And he's an Andalite.
Oh my God. We didn't know.
He is Rudolph as well.
He has the time matrix. He's the one. That's how he gets around the world.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah, you're right.
That's how you do it.
Cracked the whole code.
That's it.
Yeah, no, I think that this book by and large is like perfectly passable entertainment. This is definitely a filler book. That being said, I think that there's some pretty glaring, convoluted elements in this one
oh my God,
that I think I've been kind of like curmudgeon-y about the convolution of the series for the past couple of books now, it feels like. This one is convoluted in a different way, where it just seems like very obvious mistakes that are now being made. And I think this just kind of happens when you have a series that reaches a certain point where I think the author has trouble keeping up with the lore at times.
Yeah,
I
mean, I would
blame
too,
them.
as like an author. Like, it's so hard to keep track of every single little thing you write, especially like if you're on a deadline and publishers are like, we got to get this many books out. This is by this date. Like, you're not going to keep track of it and everything, you know.
Exactly. And I know that I at least know now, because there's a lot of like fantasy and science fiction authors that talk about now. Hiring like a lore master, hiring someone whose whole sole job is to actually keep track of these types of elements.
Okay.
I don't know if they had a lore master for the Animorphs books. I would assume not, because if they did, they're directly betraying it when there's like, I mean, for example, there's a passing line in this where Axe states that the Yeerks have the technology to detect alien life forms on the planet. Which can't be true with what we know about how surprised the Yeerks were about the android, right?
Yeah.
So there's clearly something amiss in regards to the actual lore itself, and that's not the only convoluted element in this book, but that's certainly one that like stuck out to me in a sort of blink and you miss it moment that definitely weighs down this book as a whole. So I mean, you have the problem that this book is pretty inconsequential. You have the problem that it's silly but not quite silly enough, so you feel like the stakes are really never really quite high. And then of course you have like all these convoluted elements that just are bogging down the series as a whole at this point, not necessarily just this book as an individual. So I don't know, this was like pretty low on my list personally, but I didn't have a bad time reading it. I would still say this is like a fun time, and there was enough surprises and enough interesting set pieces to definitely keep me engaged, but I think that's kind of where I land on it. How did you feel?
Yeah, I felt kind of the same way. This book is very convenient. Everything that happens in it, it's like, oh, well, that was convenient. Oh, they just gave up just like that. Oh, that's convenient. Oh, they just said this and suddenly all the action stops. That's convenient. You know, and I was just like reading this like, this doesn't feel like realistic, like at all. That I did like the goofy bits when they were in the theme park and like in the haunted house. I think that was the point where it was getting like close to the reaction type of like action adventure goofy hijinks that we so enjoyed. And I liked that part a lot. I just wish it could have gone just a little bit further. How, I'm not entirely certain. But and just the fact that Rachel's a grizzly holding on to Axe as a rattlesnake, and Tobias is like on her other shoulder, and she just throws Axe at the Visser, I thought was really funny. So yeah, there were some things in here that I really enjoyed. Like in the beginning, I love the idea of being in Morph as a horse and you're being surrounded by other horse controllers and other horses that are regular horses, and you don't know which is which, and you got to like keep your cool and pretend like you know exactly what you're doing and why you're there while also watching everything around you. I thought that was a really interesting little bit, and I kind of wish there was more of that in this. But I mean, otherwise, yeah, this was just kind of middle of the road. Like I enjoyed reading it. It's not something I think I would necessarily go back to, and I feel like there wasn't really much meaningful in terms of the plot. Everything was just kind of like, oh, okay, you know, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but at the same point, yeah, it was fine.
I don't think we get any real like character moments in this one either.
Not really. No, I don't think so.
Everybody was pretty interchangeable in what they said, apart from Marco, which was kind of disappointing because it felt like at least for the past few books we had kind of hit a stride where everybody really feels discernible. But in this one, they just kind of all could bleed together. Any Jake line could be any Tobias line.
Yeah, there was a line in this,
you know what I mean?
I probably put it in my notes somewhere, that Jake says that I was like, oh, that's really funny. Can't believe Jake said that, you know? So, yeah, it's probably in my notes later. I'll read it when we get there. But but yeah, everything just seemed kind of like interchangeable, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's the unknown is pretty known to me, and it's known to be a pretty middling book in the series, if I do say so.
That's all right.
Myself.
It is now currently known, and we know the known.
We know the known.
So yeah, you want to dive into this?
Yeah, let's do it. So I think that if I recall correctly, the book pretty much outright starts after it gets through a little bit of its previously on. It's Cassie and Rachel, and they're driving with Cassie's father to this place called the Dry Lands, which is described sort of as a desert type area outside of the city and away from society, where they're trying to go to one of Cassie's dad's clients. If I recall correctly, he's like a veterinarian of some sort, and he is supposed to help a sick horse that they see out there in the Dry Lands. They run into a woman known as Crazy Helen, who is spouting a lot of nonsense about Martians.
Saying they communicate through her teeth.
Yes, yeah. Which at first Rachel is kind of like, well, that could be, and Cassie's like, trust me,
trust me, bro, it's not.
Trust me, this is just Crazy Helen. But they do end up seeing this sick horse, and upon seeing it sort of collapse,
and trying to make a phone call.
Yeah, which is another.
Who are you calling?
But the horse collapses, and as it's like sort of writhing and dying, they see a slug kind of crawl out of its ear. There's a flash of light that then results in some sort of explosion, and they kind of conclude that the Yeerks were clearly trying to keep them away from this area.
Right.
Her dad, though, reasons to himself. I did appreciate this, that they had like a different excuse for the people who don't know about the Yeerks. And her dad basically reasons that, thank God you're okay or whatever, we'll take you to the hospital just in case. But it must have been because there's a military base nearby. And it must have just been some sort of, sort of accidental kind of set off or something like that. And they must have lost a bomb or something.
Crazy Helen is yelling about Zone 91. Not any relation to Area 51.
Clearly not.
Clearly
must be
not.
Two totally different places,
Totally
of
different.
course.
And the horse has disappeared, gone. So then it kind of cuts to the whole gang meeting at the mall with Tobias in human form. Very awkward. Not really. Yeah. He's like looking around.
He doesn't know how to be a human anymore.
Yeah, which I really loved, that nice little touch of like Tobias is like, it was bad when I was human. Now I'm back to human, and it's worse. Poor little boy. So they decide Tobias, Rachel, Marco, and Cassie are going to go back to the Dry Lands and kind of check it out. They're going to go and morph. And there's kind of like this useless chapter where Rachel buys clothes for Cassie, and then she makes Cassie wear them to school. And all these guys notice Cassie, but they don't know her name. So they're like, hey, Kendra. Hey, Christy.
Yeah.
And Cassie's like, really? Like, that's not my name.
This feels really like one of those, like, because I think at this point in the series, this is my guess, right? I think at this point in the series, Applegate's probably getting a lot of praise and fan mail in regards to people really identifying with the characters, particularly Tobias, just in regards to, like, that, like, outsider figure. And I think that this was maybe trying to cater to more of those fans that feel like an outsider figure, but I think it misses the mark because it just feels very disingenuous. There's not this many people. Like, I understand what, like, from Cassie's point of view, she's like, everybody notices Rachel, but no one really notices me. And it's like, that's true to an extent, but not everybody's an absolute outright fucking moron. And that's not to say that they wouldn't. That's not to say that they would necessarily, like, compliment her outfit, but they not everybody wouldn't know her name.
Yeah, she's Rachel's best friend.
She outright even pays Marco. Rachel pays Marco to compliment Cassie on her new outfit.
Poor Cassie.
Which, I mean, is a funny Marco moment, but it just feels very disingenuous, I think, in a way of trying to relate to maybe those fans. That's my guess.
Yeah,
why this is kind of shoehorned in there.
That's a smart take. That's why Gianni is the brains of this operation.
Huge brain, big
Big
brain.
brain time.
I'm actually, this is is not a couch.
This is just your
my
brain.
that I'm
You're sitting on your brain.
Yeah.
Squishy, wet, and
Like a
comfortable.
beanbag chair. Right, exactly.
So all right, then they all meet in Cassie's barn, morph into birds, and they fly off. Tobias is like, okay, you guys saw a yerk come out of like the horse's head, and they're like, yeah, and he's like, I don't know if I believe that. And they're like, but we saw it. Like, we're telling you what happened. He's like, yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm sure you saw it, but like, I don't know if I believe it or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
very strange.
Yeah, and so they fly to the dry lands. They sneak in, and then they get caught by soldiers.
Yeah,
and,
so they're like stopped to rest for a moment.
Yeah.
And everybody's back to their natural form, which means that Tobias is in a hawk form.
His red tail.
So they're immediately caught by soldiers who kind of crest over the horizon with guns, tells them all to get down, or tell the three of them to get down, and for someone to chase that hawk off because it's looking at me weird or whatever, right?
And Marco's like, we were dropped here by aliens. And they're like, that's not funny. And he's like, who's being funny? And
it's super cringe and awkward. And they're like, these guys are suspicious.
Yeah.
So they take him to the base.
Do you remember the names they gave?
Yeah, so Marco calls himself Fox Mulder.
Oh.
Rachel calls herself Dana Scully. And Cassie calls herself Cindy Crawford.
Stop. And then, because they're like, we have to contact your parents and get you out of here. So write down your names and your parents' numbers, and we're going to go call your parents and leave you totally alone.
Yeah.
So they all write down like the numbers to like a pizza place. And not their home numbers, which...
Yeah, it's Pizza Hut, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is Pizza Hut. And it's just like, Cindy Crawford was one of the most famous models in the 90s. You think some soldiers on an army base full of men are not going to know who Cindy Crawford is?
Never know. You never know.
That's true. Maybe they are
Captain
really...
Torelli is all business.
He's all business.
He's never looked at those magazines that they have at those stores.
He's never told a joke in his life.
Yeah, they do say that.
They said that at one point. I was like, dude, come on, bruh. So anyway, the soldiers leave the kids completely alone, and they're like, how do we get out of here? Let's morph cockroaches.
Yep. Yes, they escape outside.
Yeah.
Cassie's almost run over by some sort of tank.
A tank? I was like, are they sending a tank after Cassie?
It's so strange. Tobias ends up picking them all up and then carrying them all off. So then they regroup and they decide on a new plan. They decide that because the Yerks are horses and they've sort of watched the horses like kind of meandering into like the base area and are completely like unsuspicious to the military guys. They're like, we should morph into horses and just pose as one of them, right? And there's a fire siren that is coming after me right now with everything Scott, by the way. But so they decide that the number one places that they know they can get horses is they can go to the horse track.
The racetrack. Dude.
I'm just a little perplexed why this was the only place they thought of to
Cassie
get horses.
has
no
a barn. Doesn't she has horses in her... Oh, wait. No, she said the horse that she had distinctive markings, so she can't. But, like...
Right.
If your parents are veterinarians, which both of Cassie's parents are vets...
He's got no other clients?
There's no horse clients anywhere?
One of the most common animals in America.
Yes. So fine. We will go to the racetrack. We will go to acquire horse. Very expensive, by the way. Horse morphs in the racetrack.
Yeah, a hot commodity.
Yeah. So they all.
So they're like all changing in a stall.
They're demorphing in the stall.
And almost immediately, there's like these two guys. I think they're described as like smoking on cigars.
Yeah.
And they like pop in. They're like, hey, what the hell is that? Looking at Axe, like just seeing like parts of it that are like sticking out. And then so he kind of shapes like because he has enough horse elements that they're like, oh, that's just our horse.
Yeah,
and they're like, that horse is blue.
And then Jake comes out with, someday all horses will be blue. I was like, dude,
unreal.
oh my God. I was like, that is the best Jake line, I think, that I have ever heard.
That is a line that belonged in the reaction.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%. That
man,
was
what a winner.
That was such a great
that was
line.
A slam dunk.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then they kind of like freeze. They don't know what to do. Axe ends up chopping a beam, and like basically like a bunch of stuff collapses, and they kind of use the diversion to escape.
Yeah.
Everybody gets kind of separated for a moment, and Cassie ends up running face to face with a horse who is like kind of panicked and freaking out over everything. She morphs into it, only to realize that it's actually Minneapolis Max, who is the predicted winner of the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
So
big deal.
She then, in the form of Minneapolis Max, kind of like walks out, and her jockey immediately spots her and is like, "Oh, great, we're gonna go to the start," and so rushes the horse over.
But then somebody in the barn is like, "Wait, but like Max is here." He's like, "Forget about that horse. That's not Max," even though it looks exactly like him.
Okay,
to a T.
sure.
Also, I don't know what it is. This book has so much horse hate in it because. Especially shocking coming from Cassie. She's like, "Nah, horses are dumb. They don't know anything." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, it's like, what?
I was like,
Whoa.
"Yes, they're not dumb. They're very smart, intelligent, empathetic creatures. How dare you, Cassie? I'm a horse girl."
Yeah, you don't deserve to be Minneapolis
Oh, she
Max.
does not deserve to be Minneapolis Max. How dare she?
Yeah.
But fine. In this universe, they're dumb. Okay.
Yeah, no, so then she acts actually like an absolute fucking idiot here. So she gets put into the pen right before the race opens. She immediately freaks out and sort of kicks it. And then her jockey is like, "Whoa, settle down, Max." And she thought speaks to him and is like, "You settle down,
You fat idiot.
You fucking idiot." Yeah, no, I'm paraphrasing a bit of that, but she does say, "You settle down." And the guy's like, "What?" And then
and she's like, "Shut up, let's ride."
Yeah, the race starts and she's going full speed. He tries to rein her in because he's trying to conserve her energy for the last sprint. And she thought speaks to him again and is basically like, "Don't tell me what to do, fat boy." And he's like, "Okay." And he's like, "Okay, Jesus." And so he like lets up and just lets her take control.
He's like, "All right, you do it. Yeah, she wins.
Ends up winning.
First
and
place.
Then we cut to
the dry lands. They're at the dry lands.
We have no idea how they got out of this. And also, like, literally, the chapter opens with them. It's like, "And we're back at the dry lands, and everybody's a horse now because they all were able to get horse morphs." And you're like, what?
Wait, how did you get out? How did everybody find each other? What happened with the barn staff chasing after Marco and Tobias?
Completely unclear. And they're like, who cares?
Who
she
cares?
won a race. It's just so bizarre.
So confusing. So they join this herd. They get into Zone 91, sneaking in with this herd. They have to split up. So it's Jake, Cassie, and Tobias, and Axe, Marco, and Rachel. Those are their own two separate groups. The horses just start attacking the guards. I guess the Yerk-infested horses attack the guards because they want to get in and find the alien technology that Zone 91 is supposedly guarding, and they want to figure out what the hell it is.
Yeah, so important to note that they realize this plan like just before it happens because there's apparently the horses are speaking. I think it's pronounced Gallard.
Yeah.
Which Axe tells everybody is like a sort of like kind of like very basic intergalactic language,
like universal language for them.
Yeah, like I guess think of it as it's
like a trading language. Like if
it's galactic basic for Star Wars, you know what I mean? Like it's and he says they must all have like some sort of primitive speech translator in their head to be able to communicate it as horses. And important to note, of course, that because Yerks can't just intuitively thought speak, that's just not how they communicate. That's how Visser 3 communicates, but that's because he's in an Andalite body. So, and I'm only saying that because I was reasoning that myself, because at first I was saying, like, that doesn't make any sense because I thought Yerks could thought speak. And then me to myself, I went, no, Gianni, that's not true. So I'm thinking maybe other reader out there would be just like me. So there you go.
Gianni, you're the best. So then they all attack the guards. Nobody gets shot. shockingly, on a military base full of guards with guns.
If I recall correctly, one of the guards is like, "Don't shoot the horses," but I can't remember why. He had some reason.
Yeah, he said like we need them or they can't be injured or something like that. First off, why are all these horses on the military base just to begin with? Like,
just for fun, just for flavor.
Just to count them.
They said those look nice.
I like those horses.
Yeah,
they're all just horse girls secretly on their little.
This is now. It's important to note this is not a bird in an airport. This is a horse in a military base.
Horse in a military base. Yeah,
they're clomping around, going nuts, rushing towards the number one secret in the entire nation.
Yeah.
They all find it. They see it. And no one has any idea what it means, including the Yerks.
Just a big old
and then
cube.
Immediately,
just big old cube.
Immediately, the one like
the sergeant
guy is like, "Get them out of here!" And
the
horses all listen.
He says, "About face," and all the horses immediately stop and turn. And this is another moment where I was like, "Well, that's convenient."
Right. So
like,
they all leave.
You couldn't just say that like right when the attack started. Like,
who knows?
Is this like an automatic control that he can switch on and off?
No clue.
Maybe the horses are hypnotized, and that's the command to get them to stop.
They all clomp on outside. Almost immediately, there's a ship that pops up.
A little bug fighter.
Visser 3 and a couple of Orc Bajir come out of it. And
they talk to the horses.
Yeah, Visser 3 goes right up to the horse in charge, and is
the horse controller,
and is like, "Well, did you find it?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, I found it." And then he's like, "Do you know what it is?" And he's like, "No." And then Visser 3 kills him,
cuts his head off.
Yeah,
like,
and then he's like, "Since I have punished the one responsible, we will now all begin our next phase to also figure out what the fuck this is." Now, meanwhile, at some point, Axe was, right before this happened, was like, "Oh, I kind of know what it is," and then he's cut off by Visser 3 arriving. But
then they're trying to mingle with the controller horses, and the Visser's like, "I've never seen those horses before. What are those?
Who the fuck are you?" And
then Cassie to blend in, takes a big old horse shit.
Yeah.
Just proud. Very proud of herself. She's like, "Look, I'm a horse."
And immediately Visser 3 is like, "Well, that's definitely a horse."
And
Kill
he
it
laughs.
Anyway.
Yeah. he's like, "Oh, ha ha, very funny. Definitely a horse. Kill it."
Yeah. So then they all run. First, Cassie rushes at them, and then fight or flight takes over, and then flight wins. So then they all are trying to get away from the Hork-Bajir. A bunch of military guys are coming, so the Hork-Bajir stop their chase, and they're able to get away.
Again, very convenient. Very convenient.
So then, at this point, Axe reveals what the thing is, and he basically says that it's a waste module from an Andalite ship, meaning that it's literally just a toilet that must have broken off from a ship.
Yeah, an old ship.
So they all feel like they've wasted their time. They all head home. Then, as Cassie's at home, she's like, "Wait a second, they." Clearly, they don't just want what it is. They want to get rid of it because it proves that aliens exist. And the only reason the Yerks are so successful is because no one knows what they're doing. And this is, not true.
Yeah, it's like... okay.
As is already previously discussed, this is the worst kept secret in the known universe.
Yeah.
But secondly, that's not why Visser 3 killed the guy in charge. He killed him because he couldn't answer the question of what the thing was.
Yeah.
So why would that be his number one question that he kills the guy for? If it was supposed to just get the thing out of there, it still doesn't disprove that it existed because it was already in the military base for however long. So, I mean, there's just nothing about this that makes any kind of rationality or sense. I mean, this is just a nonsense reason to kind of shoehorn in another climax. Honestly, the book should have just ended when they realized that it's a waste module.
Yeah.
And sure, it's inconsequential, but the whole book is inconsequential. You're not adding anything to it by then also having some sort of climax. You're just making it as long as the other books.
Yeah, and it's also, thinking a military base, one of the, according to the book, one of the highest guarded places in the United States, they don't have cameras everywhere where they can see these Hork-Bajir just hanging out. Like there's
logs, anything
like nothing weird.
Recordings. Yeah,
like,
I mean,
yeah.
they got to be running experiments on this thing 24/7. I mean,
Yeah.
they literally
it.
describe it as the number one secret, like, in the nation. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
So,
nonsense.
Very convenient. So she is like, Cassie's like, oh yeah, the military base is gonna go to the gardens, and they've rented out the space from like 7 p.m. onwards the next night.
Yeah, for a night out for their military folk,
For their,
I guess.
like a staff and family night, like, okay. And they, instead of saying they work at Zone 91, they work at Gondor Industries.
Because we gotta shoehorn in a Lord of the Rings reference somewhere, I guess.
Gondor has no king. Gondor needs no king. That's just it.
That's not true. All right.
I agree.
The age of man will return.
Yeah. Yes, Gianni. Cassie deduces with her fantastic brain that
her expert deduction skills.
The Yeerks are going to try to grab the captain of security, which was the guy that caught them before, and they're gonna put a Yeerk in his head and in as many people's heads as they can get at this theme park celebration night. Which I was like, okay, wait, the Yeerks are just grabbing people now? Like, I thought they wanted a voluntary host because it's easier that way than to have someone just fight forever. They want you to be voluntary. So okay. Maybe they're desperate, you know? Maybe they're desperate to get into this place and find that toilet. The gang all goes to the theme park. They get on the log ride, all in their unitards and leotards and whatever the fuck have you, their morphing outfits. And the captain recognizes Marco's voice on the log ride. And he's like, hey, kid, I saw you the other day. Time for an arrest.
Yeah. No, I think he turns to Cassie too at a certain point and is like, you think I would forget your name, Cindy Crawford?
I was like, bro, come on, dude.
Which is funny.
So then the log ride goes into like the dark part of the tunnel, and this is where it starts to try to be like Banana Land, but not quite Banana Land, where they all Cassie and Marco and all the other kids decide, let's jump off this log ride in pitch black and try to run away in this tunnel. So they do that. Cassie bangs her noggin on the side of the water on the side of the log ride. I would assume this water is not very deep because it's a ride. I would assume it's like waist deep. But they're saying like the current is so fast they can't keep their feet and they can't control themselves, like swimming in this craziest
current. Log ride
I'm
ever.
like, well, okay. So then the captain also gets out. It's chaos. Everybody's running around.
Yeah.
They go.
He ends up slipping, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
He's like, I got you now, and then immediately like banana peels into the water.
Slide whistle. Yeah. But yeah, then they all fall down one by one down the waterfall that's meant for the log ride, which I'm like, okay. So I have a story here that I want to interject with. You know those slides that are like a 90-degree drop and you just slide down those because you're crazy? I went down one of those once. Here's the thing. I didn't know this beforehand because I'd never done this before. You're supposed to cross your legs at the ankles when you go down one of these slides with water because otherwise the water comes up and gets into your face and you waterboard yourself because you're going so quick down the slide, the water just shoots up into your face. The guy monitoring the people going down the slide did not tell me to cross my ankles, so I didn't know. And as I go down this like 90-degree drop on the slide, I can't breathe. I can't see. I'm clutching my fist to my chest, like across my chest, and I'm trying to breathe. And I get down to the bottom of the slide. I had a front crotch wedgie so bad. I'm sure the people around the bottom of the slide saw my labia. Like, I'm just absolutely certain that that's what happened, because this guy didn't tell me to cross my ankles on the slide. Thanks, dude. And I was like, I'm never doing that ever again. And I have not. So...
Wow, that really colors the rest of this book.
So that's what I'm saying. When these people are going down this log side at the speed which they say they're going, they would be drowned, Gianni.
Yeah.
I'm convinced they would be drowned,
with
and their leotards
wedgies.
would be so far up their ass. Like, it would just not, it would not be a good situation. But they were lucky. None of that happened to them.
Wow.
Wow. You're welcome. So just a warning, if you go down those scary slides, don't cross your ankles.
That's truly
Please
something.
Please cross your ankles. Anyway,
So they
Go
wade
ahead.
into a house of horrors, and in there, they're still being pursued by the captain. They are seeing all these animatronics that Marco says aren't scary because he, quote, watches too much TV. But then they end up seeing posed like one of the animatronics, Visser 3 and his Hork-Bajir, and then across from them seeing a grizzly bear
holding a rattlesnake.
Holding a rattlesnake with a hawk perched on it. And clearly notice that Rachel, Axe, and Tobias are there to sort of assist. A fight breaks out between all of these parties, and everybody watching just assumes that it's all part of this very, very, very bizarre, very spooky show, and everybody's sort of enthralled by it. Everybody splits off into some sort of parade, because I guess there's also a parade happening outside here.
Visser 3 has the Hork-Bajir cut a hole in the back wall of this haunted house, and that exits out into the zoo portion of the gardens, because that's where the theme park is. It's theme park plus zoo. So that exits out to the zoo area. And there's a parade happening. God knows why there's a parade. I guess because the military are there and they thought Daffy Duck would be a grand idea to put in this parade. Which they're running. So Visser 3 and his gang are running through the parade with the captain. And they've got him, and they're going to put a yerk in his head. So all our gang have morphed into their battle morphs, and they're running through the parade. Visser 3 cuts off Daffy Duck's head with his tail, and then the girl in the suit pokes her head out. She's like, "Hey!" And
Visser 3 cannot process this. His mind melts, thinking that there's a head inside of a head.
And he's like,
he doesn't know how it works.
What sort of creature is this? And he's sitting there trying to figure it out. And then it cuts to Marco in his gorilla morph, using Axe morphed as a rattlesnake like a bullwhip, where he's throwing Axe out, having Axe bite the Hork-Bajir, and then pulling him back. And I was just like, this visual for me is fucking hilarious.
It's selling it.
So good. And then they kind of say, Visser 3, you can't take away the captain. We're gonna get you. And Visser 3 is like, all right, here's the captain. Let's get out of here, Hork-Bajir.
Curse you, meddling kids, and then runs away.
Yeah.
Weird, Scooby-Doo little experience here.
Yeah.
And then it pretty much cuts to, the next, I guess, sort of night, and the Animorphs are all like, wow, that was crazy. Let's not talk about anything in Zone 91 ever again.
Yeah.
And then it ends with Marco saying something stupid and Cassie pouring a bucket of water on his head, and that's the end of the book.
And the news explains it away as it was just pranksters.
Yeah, it was pranksters dressed up in silly costumes.
And that was it.
Right. Sure. That's the unknown. Now it's known.
Now it is known. See,
now it is known to all.
Okay, so in my head, I feel like I kind of wish they would have gone to the theme park first before they went to the military complex. Because I like the idea of all this building. What is it? Oh, it's a toilet. Well, let's get out of here. and never talk about
Right.
this ever again.
Right.
I
Yeah, I like that anticlimax because it's very subversive to how all the other Animorphs books are structured.
Exactly. And you can kind of get away with a little more like goofy hijinks in the middle because it's all working up towards this reveal of alien technology. I feel like that kind of would have paced the book a bit better and kind of made it feel more cohesive rather than like
Yeah.
none of this matters.
Yeah. I would do this as like almost like a season opener or something. Like if the you know
Yeah.
if the change ends up ending a season, let's say, and then you open a season and it's just immediately in the theme park and they're all the Visser 3 is like in hot pursuit of like one of the Andalites or something like that, and you could even have it directly as they caught the Yeerks maybe with this piece of Andalite technology.
Yeah.
And
Or
they were
they
they
go ahead.
took it. Let's say they took it or something, right? And then Visser 3's after them, and they end up going to this theme park, and you have this whole like fun, crazy, bombastic sequence or whatever, right at the front loaded, and both parties don't get the technology. Like the technology is left behind as a direct result of whatever, right? And then you have the military picks it up, takes it to Zone 91, and then immediately like they're like, we need to go investigate what that is. We got to find out what it is before the Yeerks get to it. And then only to discover that the Yeerks don't know, they don't know, and then the reveal, and you have that anticlimax. You could have like all the same elements, and it does exactly what I think you're saying. But I like opening on action, especially consequential action. That seems like it really is adding something, because I think it would make perfect sense if the Yeerks were able to find this technology before the military people do. I think it also helps in sort of identifying like, oh, the military can't really, like, doesn't really know what they're dealing with because they haven't had a whole lot of time to look at it. We know exactly the timeline of how long they've been investigating it then, because the Yeerks would have had it first, right? So I think that that's, like, a way better way to organize it. I don't think I would have the race sequence in this one.
No.
We could put it somewhere else, but a lot of things have to change. I mean, it's just, again, you have two different sequences where it's like, how are people not aware that aliens exist, that Andalites are here, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think you could have only one of those in an episode, so I would rather have the theme park sequence than the race sequence if I have to choose between them. But you can have the race sequence somewhere else. I just don't know where it would make sense right now.
I like the idea. I like that, you know, they can just find like a barn somewhere, like a sanctuary that isn't Cassie's parents' house, and like just acquire the horses there. It'd be super easy for them to go and do that. I do like that idea of like the Yeerks found this technology, and like say it's hiding somewhere in the theme park, just like behind like a big tree or something, or like underground, and they're trying to figure out where exactly it is. They grab it, and as they're grabbing it, the Animorphs see them, and they're like, "Oh, yoink! That's ours now." And then they take it, and then they drop it along the way, and military personnel are like, "Hey, that's weird. Let's take it to Zone 91." That flows so much better. It really does. It flows so much better. It also gives a better sense of urgency of like, whoa, we just had this new thing and we don't know what it is. And, you know, you can explain it away. Axe doesn't have to be there because it's at a theme park. If they're just going to a theme park to have fun, why is Axe going to care? He's not really,
so right.
He's not really going to be wanting to go to a theme park, I don't think. You know, so that could be the reason why Axe is not at the theme park with them, to identify, yes, that's a toilet. You know? So, yeah, I like that idea. And, yeah, we can put the race somewhere else in a different book. We could even do it as, like, a goofy opening for some book, you know?
I was thinking that, too. Yeah, because Marco's whole pitch of the idea is, like, hey, why don't we use this to our advantage? Why don't we, like, have ourselves turn into a horse, and then the other one of us bets on it? And they're all like, "No, Marco, that's silly." I think it would be a fun opening of one of these to have like Marco and maybe Axe. Like, I think those two would probably pair well together. Have Axe be a horse, race and win, and have Marco just making a ton of money betting on it. getting in trouble with the rest of the group when they're like, "Where are they?" or whatever. Like,
and also the fact that
we need him. Yeah.
Also the fact that he's a child, he's not old enough to gamble or bet. And so he can get in trouble with the authorities.
Morphing into an older man.
Oh my God, that would be the best. Morphing into an older man. That would be great. That would be so much. Yeah, that would be so much fun. If we just open the scene on an older man putting a bet down, and then we realize that it's Marco, and because he's in morph, he can still speak to everyone around. So, that would be so much fun.
Get all his personality traits from like Doc Holliday and Tombstone.
Yes.
He just like walks up to place a bet. He's like, "I'm your Huckleberry." Like, this guy's not real. Get him.
No. But yeah, that would be. I think that would flow a lot better, and I think it would help the story a lot more. I'm trying to think if there's like anything else I would really change besides that. I don't think so. I think that just narratively works on a much stronger level.
I think it flows way better. I think it still has like a really fun I think it has a super fun set piece that's very goofy and silly, and I think tonally everything will work much better from thenceforth as well, because this book starts very slow, and I think maybe that's also the reason why it feels like it doesn't quite reach the highs of Banana Land, because it doesn't feel like it starts there. It feels like it starts as like a mystery, like what's going on, and the unknown. It's like very ominous and foreboding, and then it's like, no, it's just a toilet.
And it also kind of comes and goes in waves, like goofy, and back to serious. Okay, everything. So goofy. Okay, back to everything is serious, and it's like it's much better when it builds rather than waving in and out of the story.
Yes, there you go.
So, there you go. Those are our notes. I think that's the quickest amount of notes that we've had for any of these books.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not a super consequential book, like, all told, you know what I mean? So it was an easier one to sort of get through, you know?
Yeah. You ready for the next one?
I am. Let me go click on it.
You're going to love this cover. So the next one, The Escape.
Okay. I'm loading. Okay. All right. Here we go.
What are you looking at? What are you looking at, Gianni?
No way. What the fuck?
What are you looking at, Gianni?
Oh
Who's on the cover there?
What the shit is this? Holy fucking shit.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Who is that? Who's that on the cover?
Is it Marco? I guess it's Marco. Okay.
It's Marco. Mm-hmm.
Marco diving into a water and slowly turning into a hammerhead shark. Oh my god, watching his head fold out. The third image, he looks like just a guppy.
He does.
The second image is just so cursed.
I was going to say, which one of these do you think is most cursed?
Oh my god, they're awful. Wow, that's so scarring. This one's fun though. This cover is silly in the most fun way.
Do you see that fourth picture the teeny little bit of his arm left over on the shark?
Yeah, just a little bit extending out. Oh my god, it's awful. Oh my god.
Yeah. What's so yes, we've got Marco diving into a water, turning into a hammerhead shark. What's the tagline on that for The Escape?
The tagline is "The Yerks are out there." ... As if you didn't know already.
No, we had no idea. Are they out there?
Oh my god.
So what do you think?
I guess so.
What do you think The Escape is about, Mr. Gianni?
All right, well, safe bet. It's got something to do with an escape. If it's a hammerhead shark, I mean, it's he's either breaking someone out of an underwater facility or he's breaking himself out of an underwater facility would be my guess. I think I'd be more interested in like a Marco solo, so that we can we can maybe have him face to face with his mom again. That would be fun.
Ooh. I can't say if you're right or not with that, but you might be a little warm.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like if you're gonna have a title like The Escape, it's gotta be. There has to be an escape, right? Like they have to navigate some sort of escape. Ooh, I will also accept. I will accept this answer. I will accept it being a heist. Like they need to break something out of an underwater facility. I would like a heist story. Heist story would be fun as well. So either Marco gets captured and face to face with his mom, or they have to break something out of an underwater facility, or someone perhaps.
Now the heist, would it be another mysterious object? They need
another MacGuffin. I mean, maybe. I think I'd be fine with that. At this point, what's another MacGuffin thrown in here? That would be fun. But yeah, I'm excited for another Marco story because I think the only other 2 Marco stories are like in my top 3. So. So I hope that this one lives up to that potential. But that's my guess right now. It's either some sort of heist story or Marco gets captured and then has to make a break out.
Make a break. Okay. I don't really remember this one that much, but I looked at like the little on the back cover where it has like the little synopsis. I kind of remember it. We're getting to the point where I don't remember any of the books anymore. So some of them are starting to be a little more of a mystery to me, which I'm like definitely enjoying.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. So we're gonna watch Marco turn into a little hammerhead shark.
I do like hammerhead sharks. Like,
they're cool.
That does excite me.
Yeah.
I think they are super fun. This image is just too
so cursed,
too insane.
I mean, I like the back of the feet in the third image where it's just like 2 fins.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you do not.
You can't tell me what I don't like.
Oh my god.
It's very enjoyable to me. So, folks, if you enjoyed this episode, hey, cool, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you didn't, that's okay too. You can complain to us about it at our email address where you can contact us. If you'd like to email us, you can email us at morphinbuddies@gmail.com. That's morphinbuddies @gmail.com.
Still a good bit.
That's it.
Still a good bit.
It is. It will never die for me. Perhaps one day.
I'll kill it with fire one day.
I know.
But it's a good bit.
I know. One day Gianni will get it. But it is not this day. Anyway, yeah, you can email us, shoot us an email, tell us your thoughts, your feelings. Again, thank you to all the people that have emailed us previously. You guys are all super nice, and I can't believe you're enjoying this so much. So we appreciate that.
Warms our heart every time.
Every time.
Yeah, so definitely send an email. They're fun.
Yeah, and let us know what you feel like the most cursed book cover is, because they're fun. I like making Gianni scream and have nightmares for the rest of the week.
Yeah, I still think the android still takes the cake, but this is close, man.
The android was the spider, the
tarantula.
tarantula.
Right? Yeah,
Marco turning into the tarantula. Yeah, that one was pretty good with the chin.
Yeah.
Gianni and I just posed podcast audience, so we both just did the pose on the book to each other. So anyway, yeah, you can email us or not email us. You can lurk too. It's okay to be shy. And we will see you in the next episode of Morphin Buddies.